Brian with the Y, like not
Yeah.
the most common way.
Thank you
So I'm
for
like,
making that correction. It's very important to me.
I'm gonna destroy this unicorn. We both really value human connection. The smaller events you were mentioning earlier, it feels like a friend's reunion.
Yeah.
We learn things, but also we catch up with each other.
Yeah. Our relationship becomes a little bit more than just a colleague or a vendor or a fellow franchisor.
Welcome back to Sealed and Unscripted. I'm your host, Madalina Iordaki. I'm the CEO and founder of Brighting Agency and website therapist at Brighting Agency, where we build and optimize websites for franchise brands who want to grow in a sustainable way. My guest today is Brian Bosing. He is the director of marketing at Odeer. That is an all-natural mosquito control, deer control, and rabbit control franchise. And we are here today in Charlotte, North Carolina, ahead of the opening of the Odeer annual event.
Yes, we are.
It's going to be a busy day. So
A very busy day.
thank you for making time for this, and welcome to the mobile podcast studio.
This is a legit setup. I love it.
Okay, so how this works is, like the title says, completely unscripted. I have an envelope here with, I think, 5 questions. We'll see. Sometimes there's bonus questions. We'll find out. The questions were prepared by someone on the Brighting team that knows, obviously me, but knows Brian as well. We're just going to have a conversation. We're going to have fun. We're going to see where this takes us. Okay? All right. So let's get started.
The moment of truth.
Drum roll. I'm going to destroy this unicorn. All right.
I can't wait to talk to Alicia and Gianji and figure out which one of them wrote each question.
Okay, we're gonna guess.
Yeah.
Like the author.
Yeah.
Right. In no specific order.
Wow.
The first. No. I started with the bonus question. I have to take them in the correct order. Do you remember how we first met, and what stood out about that first interaction?
I do. We just talked about this last night because Madalina, fun fact, one of my first franchising friends, I ended up going to a conference in someone's place. It was my first franchising conference, and it was at Emerging in Nashville a few years ago. And I remember I didn't really know anyone, so I was just walking around, just kind of bumping into people and hoping that someone would start a conversation. But I was told before the event by my colleague who was supposed to go, there's this woman named Madalina. I met her on an online IFA event. You should, try to talk to her. And so went to the party that the Emerging put on, and ran into Madalina and was like, oh, hey, I was supposed to meet you. And so that was the first real conversation that I had that lasted more than 5 minutes, just a small talk. We ended up hanging out for the most of the night, right? We ended up getting dinner and hanging out, and we had a small little group together, right?
That's right, yes. Yeah, I also remember it because we just talked about it last night. And it was one of the first franchise events that I went to. I think I had gone to the IFA convention that year, maybe FCXC, and then this was like my third ever franchise event. And at the time, there were still a lot of Zoom events because it was 2020.
Yeah, that's right.
There were a lot of events online. And during those events, I made a point to try to remember people and try to figure out who am I going to meet when I go to this event. I was not that used to networking, and I knew if I'm going to go with Nashville, really I better meet some people. Right? It's hard. Yes. When you're the newest kid there. So I knew from your colleague that you were going to be there. I've never met Brian before. We haven't even exchanged an email. And lo and behold, at this opening party, I bump into you near the bar or the food station. I see his name, and Brian with the Y, like not the most common way.
Thank you for making that correction. It's very important to me.
Of course, I understand. So that was it. I'm like, I know you. What I'm supposed to know you.
That's the fun part about those smaller, Emerging events where you actually get to meet people. It's kind of a chance that we ran into each other, but at the same time, there's so few people there that we were bound to run into each other at some point.
There was only one Brian with the Y.
Yeah, correct. As far as I can remember.
and chances are higher into actually meeting people at those events. So yeah, great.
Awesome.
Let's do the second question. Okay, and I did not write this question, but I think this person gets us. We both really value human connection. Why do those moments matter so much in franchising?
I feel like you could also take this question.
Okay, yeah, we'll take
Uh,
turns.
I think for me, it's just knowing that those are the memories that I'll look back on years from now. We just went to Let's Grow in Dallas, and Paul Pickett from Wild Birds Unlimited did an entire keynote that was outstanding, all about people. And, when he looks back on this accomplished career that he's had, being what was it, the IFA?
37 years at
Yeah, it
Wild Birds.
just an outrageously great career. And the things that
Yeah.
he looks back on, the things that he remembers were, you know, a manager at a location that wanted to open up their own franchise, but just didn't feel like they had the funds or the ability to. And he's like, no, I believe in you. Like, you can do this. And then she does. And I feel like that's what I'm going to look back on, is those moments working with all the franchisees and that human element, rather than meeting where we planned out their local marketing plan for 2025. Like, that's just not really anything that I think I'm going to look back on years from now and remember fondly, at least in comparison to those little moments between them.
So true. I mean, the marketing planning meetings are fun, but
Can be.
those we'll probably forget in 2 years.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me is the relationship that builds in between the business
Yes.
meetings. Yes, we talk about work. Yes, we plan the marketing and the activities and all of that. And that's important.
Mhm.
But what happens in between those moments is also important, because that's how we end up working well together. And it is events like this, which is, thank you for inviting
Yeah,
me
absolutely.
here. Not that I can bring a huge contribution. I'm not delivering a keynote or anything like that, but it's so good to spend some time breaking bread, right?
Mhm.
And taking rides in the van on the way to the Whitewater Center. And just those conversations are really important for me. Drinking hot chocolate with Leah last night, because I never want to drink hot chocolate in South Florida, but here in 40 degrees weather, it's like awesome
Yeah.
to do. Seeing you guys race ice skating last night, that was fun. Those are the things that I do remember the most. And in franchising, and I'm sure this is not necessarily unique to franchising, but in franchising, relationships are so important at
Yeah.
every single level. Franchisee to franchisor, franchisor to supplier, and even for suppliers like me to have some kind of visibility with the franchisees, with those who we ultimately serve and whose life we're impacting. So it's
Yeah.
all about relationships.
It is. And there's no shortage of good people in franchising. So
That's why this community is so tightly knit,
yeah.
and every event, the smaller events you were
Mhm.
mentioning earlier, it feels like a friends reunion.
Yeah.
We learn things, but also we catch up with each other. Number 3, do either of you have a favorite franchising event, and is there a moment from it that really stuck with you? I feel like these are very anticipated what we talked about.
Favorite event. Just generally, my favorite events are the smaller ones. So, like, Let's Grow comes to mind, and then Emerging also comes to mind. Probably Let's Grow has inched it out in the last couple of years, just because it's just such a great community. Leanne hosts such a great event, and the type of people that come to that event in particular, not only are like tight knit, but just very welcoming. Where it's easy to walk around and meet people and say hi, because there's not a lot of people at the event. You're kind of forced to have interactions. The last one we went to, two people that I met strictly because we just kept sitting at the same table because we were going to the same sessions over and over again. And so I love those kinds of events that almost not force the interaction, but just make it really easy to, going back to us talking about making relationships and meeting people, make that part easy. Whereas a larger event, it's a little bit harder to do that, right?
Absolutely. I think, what is the limit? Like 300,
Yeah.
200 in that range. For me, who I call myself a recovering introvert, I think I bounce between being introverted, extroverted. Definitely the smaller events are a lot easier.
Hmm.
I will go and walk the show for a bigger event, but it's not the same. If I'm going somewhere to make those connections, it's going to be one of the smaller events. My favorite event is the Hello Mastermind that happens
Yeah.
twice a year. I don't know that there is another event that happens twice a year, and it's very different. It's not the typical buy a ticket,
Hmm.
attend, and come back with takeaways. It's a peer leadership group. So
Yeah.
I love you not in that one yet, but I do like that one because of how it's set up for relationships and
Hmm.
for people to confide in each other and to find ways to contribute and to help each other
Yeah.
and find the answers from others who maybe have dealt with the same
Yeah.
problems before.
Absolutely.
And I gotta say, I do love the events that my clients put together, the annual event. The first one is always the most awkward because I don't know, I know like two people
Yeah.
there usually. So this was my second event with Odeer. So I feel like a little bit like I've been here before. Number 4. We've talked a lot about relationships and connection. I'm curious how that shows up when you're actually working together long term. In your experience, what makes a long term website partnership actually work?
Wow, big question. This is inspired a lot by our franchisees because they're all so willing to work together. And it's not like the entire system is all best friends and everyone's, calling each other every night to check in and see how they're doing. But there's this welcoming community where no questions are off. If you need anything, but they're there to help. And so that's really what I started to look for in vendors as well, because I just appreciated that aspect of working with the franchisees and their willingness to help, even when it went well beyond what they are being paid to do or or responsible for. And so that's really what I look for now, and I think why this partnership has been so successful is this is the ability to call up Madeline, or I don't call you very often, but like a text or an email,
Right.
and say, what do you think about this? I mean, even just as recently is Let's Grow, but there was something that somebody talked about on a website. It was to do with AI and the best ways to appear better on AI. They were
Okay.
recommending making new pages on your website and then blogs. And my question to Madalena was, you're answering questions that people are asking on these AI tools like ChatGPT. What's the best way to go about doing that? Is it making an entirely separate web page, or is it just answering the question through a blog? And you were able to give me a response of like, here's what I recommend, and it made a lot of sense. And it was nice to be able to not only have a partner that I know is going to do the work when I ask them to, but to make recommendations as well about like what's the best practice, how to go about doing this, because I'm not an expert on
Mm.
websites or franchise websites, and so I don't feel like I need to be being able to talk to you.
Yeah. I remember that conversation. Perfect timing, right? I was there to talk about optimizing for AI on
Yeah.
websites. For me, I think what makes a website partnership works is when both the client and us, the supplier, approach it in a both collaborative way, but also proactive.
Yeah.
Being proactive is so important because I've seen so many times how some clients, not going to name any name, they want to spend the least amount possible, which usually only affords them fix some bugs and keep the lights on.
Yep.
And that is not a sustainable way to both protect your investment. Websites are expensive, and also maintain them current and relevant in a world that constantly changes when
Yeah.
it comes to marketing and how you market online. So being proactive and being open to new ideas and making space for that. So we're not just executing what comes from the franchisor, but also we're able to bring ideas and suggest improvements. I think that's what makes the most successful website partnerships, in my experience.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Okay. Number 5. What's a small moment in the industry that meant more to you than you expected?
Wow, they're really diving deep on these.
No, this team, it's like they know franchising and they know we get to this event and there's always unexpected moments there. I don't know. I think there are many moments. I mean, you mentioned Paul Pickett's keynote this past week, and that's just so fresh in my mind. And I wrote about it recently. I'm still thinking about it, even though it was addressed to franchisors and their franchise development teams. It resonated with me even as a supplier. I also run a business and we don't have franchisees, we have clients. So it really made me think of a lot of things. But on the less deep and meaningful side, I think it was a lot of fun to take pictures with the Longhorn last week. And it's funny to remember that because yesterday we were at the Whitewater
the Whitewater Center,
and Leah shows me the fluffy cows there, and it just made me think of the Longhorns.
So I helped plan this event. Did not know about the cows at all. We just arrived, and then I didn't even get to do the tour. And then later on, I'm getting pictures from Jeremy of like, oh, look at the Highland cows. Love those little surprises when you go to an event. I mean, that happens when you go to these new cities. I think that's more a collection of moments, but just being surprised at how much I like some of the places that we've got to go to through franchising. I think especially living close to Nashville, it can very much seem like the hub of bachelorette parties, and that's all it is in my mind. Is it's just a bunch of people walking around for a bachelorette party constantly. But obviously, it's more than that, and it's
apparently
it's a really cool vibe. This isn't like a specific moment, but just like the moments of inclusion that I've experienced throughout franchising. Like, I can't pinpoint one, but like we said, it's hard at the first few events where you don't know anyone, and it's hard to like get conversation open. And even when you do have a conversation, it's very surface level of like, how are you? How many units do you have open? What do you do? Which is not my jive. That's not the kind of conversations I like having with people. And so it's those little moments of breakthrough that you have with someone where a relationship becomes a little bit more than just a colleague or a vendor or a fellow franchisor. Something that kind of breaks through the ice to get to a deeper, more meaningful connection with that person. We can connect with this thing that has nothing to do with work, but now I feel closer to you and it makes me feel more comfortable talking about work.
I think that's the key there. It's actually moments when we don't talk about work. I remember, I think it was in Atlanta, and a group of us just got together and at this impromptu dinner, which often happens at this event.
Those are the best.
And someone struck up a conversation like, what's the most interesting thing that happened in your life or something like that. So it went way deeper than how's the weather, how was your flight?
Yeah.
And it got some people to share some really deep stories that don't often surface if you don't make space for them.
Yeah.
And it takes a courageous first person to kick off a deeper conversation than chit chat and small talk.
It does. It does. I can't remember what event it was. It's killing me, but it was in Austin, Texas. And I had a very similar experience where I think it was just supposed to be me and one other person getting dinner. But we were both open to like, oh, if you know anybody that wants to get dinner too, it doesn't have to be just us. And so just hanging out in the lobby and running into random people, we ended up with like a group of 6 of us. It was the exact same situation where we were just having small talk, and then somebody asked, what would you be doing with your life if franchising wasn't an option and money was not anything that you cared about? And the answers were amazing. It was so cool to hear what other people would want to do with their lives, and that there's more to this person than just obviously the work that we're doing.
For sure. And I think we all have that need to think a little deeper and beyond our professional costume that sometimes we wear. Although I feel like in franchising, people are a lot more genuine than in many other places. So it's good to show the human side. It feels good, right?
Yes, it does.
All right, we have a bonus question, the one I pulled up first. When you need a reset outside of work, where do you go or what do you do to clear your head? Here we go, talking about great questions, not about work.
I love getting outside, and this is not just the brand talking where that's what ODIR is all about. Like, there's a reason I work here. I really identify with what we're trying to do here, just getting outside more. So for me, it's like going on a hike, or lately it's been skiing. That's been a
Okay.
lot of fun. It's definitely fun to go with people and have that experience together in that moment. But I also do like just do that kind of stuff myself. It's like walking around outside and just getting to clear my head, I guess, or like, have my own thoughts, my own time.
I want to say it's quite similar for me. I love traveling, but if we're talking just about clearing my head and taking a break from work, I don't often give myself that, but when I do, it probably means taking my lunch and eating it outside
Mhm.
in the backyard rather than at my desk with my work.
Mhm.
I do, however, make a point to take a walk outside every morning. That's what sets me up to have a good day.
Yeah.
Getting sunshine, getting fresh air. And in Florida, it can be challenging because in the summer, you got to go out really early in
Yeah.
order not to come back dripping in sweat. Now it's a little better. But I think that's what sets me up for having the best day is
Yeah.
getting that time outside. So I love that this has been a theme here for you guys. I mean, it's always been a theme for ODR,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
even last night, it was fun. It was cold, but it was
Yeah.
great to be outside and enjoy being away from the desk and computer and all that stuff.
It is a requirement of being an ODR franchisee is
And a
hiking out.
supplier, right?
Yes, yeah. That's why we picked Madalena, actually. Can I ask you a bonus question?
It's only fair.
So, in a LinkedIn post recently, you talked about your Duolingo activity, and I need to know what your daily streak is at. I'm currently at 65. Oh, in what language are you learning right now?
I'm learning Italian,
Okay.
and my streak is at 220 days.
Nearly a year? Are you going to hit a year?
It's going to be a year in July.
Okay. I think you can do it.
I think I can do it. It's been hard, and thankfully, I've accumulated some streak freezes
Mhm.
because I had to use 2 last week and 1 this week, which I haven't used in a really long time. But you know what's funny? What keeps me accountable is that I'm friends with my mom on
Yes,
Duolingo,
yes. I need to
and
do it.
she nudges me, and I don't want to let my mom down. And
Yeah.
now recently, I made friends with Renee. You know Renee, and also we have streaks together. Now I don't want to let Renee down either.
Yeah.
Maybe we should become Duolingo
I was gonna
friends.
say you're another person to hold me accountable. I'm friends with a friend of mine from Boston, and we're going on a trip together um, to Mexico, and so we both took Spanish when
So you're
we
learning
were younger.
Spanish.
Yes, so we're both doing Duolingo. I know it's probably not even going to be useful. I'm at such a basic beginner level. I think I'm level 11. It's very rudimentary Spanish, but maybe
You
it'll
can
come
do
up at
it.
one point. Maybe I'll be able to say thank you, have a nice
You,
day. I know I can do that part.
when are you going to Mexico?
Middle of March,
Okay.
so soon.
Mm.
I know the clock is ticking.
So I
But-
went to Italy in December. My goal was to get to level 30 because apparently that's the level where you can be conversational. I was at 29. But from my group, I spoke the most Italian.
There you go. It's working. We can definitely be friends on Duolingo.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you, Brian. This was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun. Thanks for the bonus question. I can't wait till we talk again and let's see what the next episode's going to be. I don't know. Should be fun. Thank you.
Thank you.